All right, good evening, everyone. Those of you here at the Gnomon stage, welcome. If you're here for the first time, hopefully you're enjoying your experience so far. Those of you tuning in on live stream, thank you so much for being here with us tonight through the internet. We really appreciate everyone spending time with us, and I'm very pleased to be able to introduce Gary Huang to the stage tonight. Gary is here from a prominent game studio in Santa Monica. Due to his projects being non-disclosed and the confidential nature, he cannot talk about his current work, but he is going to talk about some very awesome projects that he has. He's going to walk you through some of his personal work. He's going to share with you his Ironclad piece, his Orc piece, and his Replica Boy piece. And then at the very end, provided that there's time after that, he'll go through more of his personal work with you as well. The Q&A portion of the evening will begin at 9 p.m. Those of you tuning in on live stream, we ask that you hashtag Gnomon on Twitter with your question, and we'll get to those as well. And then those of you on stage, you can just raise your hand and I'll walk over to you and hand you the mic to ask your question. Sound good? All right, let's give a big warm welcome to Gary.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me well? You good? All right. Happy holiday, guys. And thanks for stopping by. All right. First, of course, I want to thank Gnomon, of course, for sure and giving me a chance and provide this stage here and let me show some of my previous project and also some piece of my personal works. And of course, and Lynette, she's not here. And thanks for her email back and forth and to contact me. And also thanks my buddy, Alexandro. I'm not sure if he's here today. All right, that's good. Yeah, thanks. He let me know there's a good opportunity here to show some of my works. All right. Let me pull it up. I'm Gary Huang, and I'm currently a 3D artist working in Los Angeles. And I'm gonna break my talk to 5 different parts. So first part I'm gonna talk about myself, about what my background, where I started, my career, and what I learned. And the second part will be talking more about the project Ironclad, which is one of the projects I did in my previous company. And I will show you guys what kind of character work process I did. The reason I feel this is kind of a good topic to talk about is because we didn't spend much of time on Ironclad. I think it's the shortest project ever in my career. The entire process, I forget how long, but I guess probably around 5 months. After they done the pre-production, I got only 3 months of time, and I will show you how I finished that task in about 3 months. And after Ironclad, I'm gonna talk about org study. Let you guys know how I started my org study. After org study, I think I have some more pieces to show. One of them called Replica Boy, and that's was a character design for Unreal Engine. Is for a virtual reality used character. And the last part will be the QA time. So if you guys have any question, just keep your question until the end. Before I introduce myself, I have a question. How many of you guys here are international students? Oh, only a few. All right. Oh, 3. Okay. All right. It doesn't matter. The reason I mentioned about this is because my American career here, I started as an international student, so I totally understand your pain. if you try to, looking for a job or something. And during my talk today, I'm aiming for, provide. I hope I can provide as much as possible information for you guys if you guys are, prepare your portfolio or something. And how many of you guys focus on 3D modeling or character artist? Great. Yeah. You joined the right event here. All right. Okay, so wrong one. All right. Let's stop here. So now allow me to introduce myself a little bit. So I'm just like most of artists. I have enjoyed a lot of drawing since I was a kid, since I was little. And I'm kind of self-taught myself how to drawing until my fourth grade. And in that year, my mom finally found an art teacher for me and taught me how to, improve my drawing skill. So, yeah, thanks to my mom a lot. The reason until fourth grade is because of I'm originally from Taiwan, and in a small county in the northern part of Taiwan. So it was really hard to find as much reference as possible, like a teacher or something. So it sounds like I started my drawing, my fine art, because pretty early. I'm saying in the fourth grade, my mom found a teacher for me, right? And that teacher taught me a lot, and her name was Meiyong, and she taught me a lot of art foundation, and those foundation I keep on using until nowadays. So I have to mention about her. She's really important for when I was a kid, and taught me a lot. So I spent a lot of time, and since I was little, I drew a lot, but in the end, I didn't went to fine art school because my score when that time in school was not quite good. They counted in 3 different subjects into one score. If your score is too low or something, no matter how good your professional skill was, you still couldn't apply any top 5 fine art school. So that's why one of the reasons I didn't keep, digging into fine art or something. And I went to design school for my college. That time, my major was visual communication design. Do you guys know about that, visual communication design? It's all about graphic design, web design, media design, that kind of thing, included animation. So that was the first year I met 3D, and I totally fell in love with it. Because I can tell until now, I haven't changed my mind. I'm still in this field. And it was cool. I can stood up like a whole night and check out a lot of cool information. That time was CG Talk or something. Then I pretty much spent most of my 4 years of time digging into, I started as a 3ds Max user. And after my graduation from college, I went to military service. It was mandatory, so I spent 1 year and 4 months of time in military when I was in Taiwan. The reason I mentioned about this is because I was lucky enough. I got a chance to work on a project for, it's kind of 3D pre-render virtual reality that time, not real time, it's pre-render that time. So pretty much a long time ago. So it was fun. So I didn't totally waste my time in the entire 1 year and 4 months. And after military, I moved to the U.S. to earn my master's degree in California, majoring in 3D animation and visual effects. And There's a story I want to talk about. In the first year of my U.S. life here was so terrible. I mean, I totally lost myself. If you guys are international student, you will know that much of pain. And why I feel lost, why I feel confused, because when I was in Taiwan, I used to do a lot of other things, not only 3D, like a graphic design for T-shirts and media design for some interior design companies, demo reel or something. Have you guys heard about Power Director? Yeah, I use that software for that company's demo reel, and also some freelance work for some 3D project. So I used to do that much of thing, but after I moved to the US, I have to find what I really like, what my focus. I started as a visual effects student, I think, but there was one day I changed my mind. I still remember that day. I went to a toy store somewhere Market Street, and I couldn't leave because when look at those action figures, those cool characters, I felt that's actually should be where my passion was. So I changed to 3D modeling instead of visual effects. The reason I started as a visual effect artist because there's a big market in Taiwan for TV commercial or NTV, that kind of thing. I was thinking, if one day I go back there, it's much easier to find a job or something. But yeah, after I switched to 3D modeling, then I totally focused on it until my graduation. And in the year 2009, I got a free ticket for GDC 2009. And school told me, yeah, you're okay. If you feel ready, then try to find a job there. That time still early. Still early to me, actually. Still 9 months or 10 months before my graduation. But anyway, I tried. And that time was pretty hard, actually. Not that much of position open during that time. If you remember 2009, actually, economy went so down, 2008 or something, as I remember. So, but I still applied. I tried, and there's some interest. There was an interesting story happened on me. My goal was looking for a character artist position, but there wasn't any character position open. What could I do? And I felt, they kind of use the same technique for environment art. So why not just try environment art? At least there's an environment artist position open. So I applied. That time I applied to Activision, that time San Francisco studio called Shaba Games. So I tried to apply. Pretty much 4 days later, I got a phone call from a recruiter. And she said, "Hi Gary, we really like your portfolio, and your portfolio is really awesome. But from the position you apply, we don't feel you have enough environment artists, portfolio, environment pieces ready. But we really like your character artwork. So we would like to open a new character artist position for you. Would you be interested?" I pretty much say like 10 times yes in the phone. That's a true story happened. So I feel at that time, I didn't give up. I just kept trying. So that's how I started my first job. It was in Activision, and they told me a lot. Told me, a lot of things like how to prepare a game characters for games, and also. Yeah, I appreciate they teach me and they told me that much because before I get hired from Activision, I didn't have anything prepared for a game, actually. So my portfolio, my model, everything, this guy here, is pretty small. The overweight hero, and also a old guy squat on, I'm going to use ArtStation. So that time I only have this. And clean topology was actually mainly for animation or for film. That was my goal. And some render and maybe some concept, and also the old guy here. But I had nothing about game characters. So after Activision, went to Seattle for Bungie Software at that time, Bungie Studio now. And I got a chance, I did Halo Reach, and I was a 3D artist / character artist, because I pretty much did, I started from prop or something, help environment a little bit, some typable textures, that kind of thing, and also some characters, Captain Key, actually, I did that. And after Bungie, I went to Sony. That time, the studio called Zbrush Interactive. I was a character artist there. And I did SOCOM 4 for PS3, and also Unit 13 for PS Vita game. I think that was first PS Vita shooting game. And also did a new IP prototype for them. And there was an interesting story I wanna tell. I'm used to go back to Taiwan to visit my parents at least once a year. And there was once I come back to the U.S. and an officer in airport kept asking me questions for almost like 10 minutes long until he asked me, "Hey, dude, where you work? What are you doing here?" And I say, "Yeah, I work for a Sony studio in Redmond City. And I did SOCOM 4. The keyword is SOCOM, And after officer heard that SOCOM, then he finally, stopped asking and let me get through the gate without any other trouble. So sometimes, famous enough title is kind of useful for that case, especially SOCOM because the officer, Navy SEAL is so famous, and also SOCOM was kind of famous that year. After Sony, I come back to California. I worked for NCSoft a little bit. I was character artist that time, and I got a good chance to do some visual development for their character styles. And that time, a project called Landfall. Is Aaron here? No? After NCSoft, I went to the Workshop Entertainment, which is somewhere close to here. I'm saying it without traffic. And I was a senior character artist over there. I did The Evil Within. And it's a project we co-op with another studio in Japan. It was fun. And I also did a prototype, new games prototype for one of their new IP. So that's pretty much about where I started and my background. So my background included some graphic design and fine art and also 3D. Any questions so far? If so, I'm gonna keep going. Jump to our next part. This is what I did, what I learned in that time, my first year or second year. What's going on? In my graduate school. So I spent a lot of time on crochet and anatomy and figure drawing and close figure drawing. I thought those parts pulled me a lot until today because none of those foundations are really useful. I never feel enough, to be honestly. And some sculpture I did, the one on top left was pretty much about 24-inch high, maybe like this. And some crochet and some yeah, some more figure sculpt. Am I okay to keep going? All right, so now I'm going to talk about Ironclad. It's one of the projects I did for my previous company called The Workshop Entertainment. I really appreciate Chris Bassi and Peter Ackman. They allow me to talk about this project in this event. So can we round of applause for them? Yeah, I really appreciate them. Because I believe this, as I know, this is probably the first time show this video, this 1 minute long video in the public. I'm gonna show you the video first, then give you guys more information about this. It's about 1 minute long, and it's real-time cinematic. We used the Unreal Engine. Hope the light is not too bright here. How can I hide this? Is that cool? Yeah, so we didn't push the quality until the end, actually, because we knew that our time only few months long. So we got only the time I just mentioned. So on my character part, I got only 3 months. It's not just about finishing the model, finishing the texture, finishing the basic material or something, and there's something else inside of Unreal Engine. We had to spend a lot of time on it. So I believe, as I remember, Unreal Engine part was spent almost like half part of the time. And here I'm gonna talk about my character creation. Oh wait. Do you guys interesting, to see what a rough video look like? This is the first source file I got from my editor. All right? No audio. So the first thing for this project, to start the project, I was talking to the editor. So at the same time, he showed me this. The editor was Todd Anderson. He's a guy who pretty much did everything, included art editing, and also block out some base mesh and test some animation for this guy. I'm gonna stop here. Then back to our pipeline. So, talk to the team first. I think that's the most important thing. And also your environment artist, environment artist for sure, and also concept artist. That time, our team was pretty small. As I remember, maybe one art director, one concept artist, one environment artist. I think pretty much around 10 people only. So talk to the team, make sure we are all on the right track and include our art style or something. I wish I could have a second screen here. And I want to show you some concept. Okay, this is some intro concept. From that time, our concept artist did intro. So from all of this image, I got an idea, how much detail I have to paint it on, sculpt it on in Zbrush or something. Yeah, so I got this concept from those guys, and some other Todd Anderson helped me a lot to block out mesh, and he tests the animation works fine because there are some movements around on Ironclad's arm. And here's a concept. It looks like a stylized character actually, but after I talked to them, actually realistic style was something we were looking for. So they also showed me some reference like this, and he told me the skin on the Ironclad is gonna be like that, like this kind of material. So yeah, it makes sense to me, and I guess I know what he's looking for, and this is for some material for the pistancing and how it look like after getting old or damaged. And some reference for some refraction. This much of information, not those images he gave to me, but I just simply Google it, but pretty much some reference just look like this. So reference, of course, is really important. Imagine this guy being fighting in a battle. So you have to think about when you're doing the Zbrush sculpt, how can you sculpt this history out and put those details on his body. I will show you the Zbrush file, what the Zbrush file look like. Then we can talk about more on that part. So after confirm with the detail, I started block out some meshes in Zbrush, in Maya. It's not too hard, I believe, here. But the key is, I didn't spend much of time on this. And from those concept images show me, we didn't have much of camera angle to see legs and arm, so only focus on this portion. And there's something when I talk about the topology. Topology is really important for artists if they are a 3D modeler. Topology should be prepared for Zbrush, but not for if you're talking about some fancy bending arm or something. But not this guy. This is hard surface. So if you try to save a lot of time, you have a task need to be done in a short time period. Then you may have to think about let go of some of that imperfect part, like here. Be honestly, I didn't spend much of time. You can tell it's just extrude, and here doesn't look good. Hit 3, smooth it out, so you can see something not that good there. But it doesn't matter because I'm gonna put a lot of detail on top of it when I sculpt it in Zbrush. So that means that part doesn't matter. Zbrush, you can subdivide it several times, and you're not gonna notice problem. And also think about topology or something later. Then this part is not our concern. So try finish this base mesh as soon as possible. That's what I did. after this part, I move to Zbrush. And there are three most important things I kind of pointed out. When you do the ZBrush sculpt, always keep the surface detail in different layers. That's really useful and helpful. And also try to make your detail larger a little bit than the real size. Why keep the detail is just because when we put everything into engine, different lighting direction, you may feel a lot of detail you sculpt on your mesh and didn't show up. Well, spoiler. And it's actually detail because from screen you will see everything actually way much smaller than the real size. So I would recommend just exaggerate all of those details a little bit and change the lighting and shading all the time, just like you do the ZBrush sculpt in ZBrush. And I forgot to bring my personal material, ZBrush material actually. But I try to find one of the material I feel is kind of okay to show those details for you guys. So here's a ZBrush file, and let me hide it up to high res. I'm trying to make its whiteness larger. Okay, I will try one more time. I don't want to waste my time, so I had some weak image prepared. How smart I am. But no, not final word. Open. No. What is it open with? Okay, here, right here. Here's some detail I sculpt. So it's ZBrush ready. So give me just a second to open the files. Yeah, total. But you guys just saw the material I mentioned about the ZBrush material. I think that one was pretty good to show all of those detail on hard surface thing, or maybe it's good for using when you try to test out your material or your detail on your character for video games. That was value. Come back now. Okay. I'm not gonna make it larger now. Keep myself safe. All right. So now you can see how much detail I sculpt on top of it. And do remember keep the layers in separate layers. Keep the detail in separate layers. And I didn't do much of detail on somewhere inside the body because we're not going to have a chance to see that much. And also on top of this shoulder, there wasn't that much of detail actually because there's a shoulder pad going to put on top of it. And we're not going to have any camera view from this angle. So there's totally nothing over there. But we have some super close shot from here, from this angle, and from the back. But these are not every detail I have. I will let you know what else process I did, and to show more detail in the final look. Then another file I want to show you, because the file was too huge, so I had to separate them to several different parts. I forgot how many. I didn't dismate it because we try to keep as much of this detail possible, and we're gonna assign a lot of ID map for you, so it wasn't a concern to, we didn't really need to combine them all together. And here's those detail I sculpted for the business hand. And this guy here, this finger actually duplicate from this one, because our angle is from here. It's pretty much from here. So don't worry about that one. Duplicate is totally fine. But yeah, make sure you have enough detail shows on top of it. Then another file I want to show you is arm. So from detail, I show you the history of this business hand, and you can tell it just look like, this guy been fighting with some aliens or something, that kind of thing. So I felt this much of detail is enough, because later on, I had some other treats used in normal map, so I won't that much of worry, this detail is not enough, even too much. And also there are some movement, some moving on this part, so you have to think about if this piece moves a lot, may have a large scratch on top of it. So that kind of detail. So change the lighting and shading was something I mentioned, because you have to make sure, I think we wasn't 100% sure where the camera angle and also lighting angle. So that's why I recommend when you sculpt your mesh in Zbrush, always change your lighting direction. I think I lost my hotkey. But anyway, you guys, if you guys ever use Zbrush, you know what I'm talking about. And after we finish the Zbrush sculpt, next step is for UV layout. But you may have a question: where's the game mesh? It's cinematic use mesh, actually, not quite really for a real game mesh. We skipped the part. It's just because we didn't have much of time to spend extra 2 days or 3, because this guy is a giant robot. So there are a lot of detail on it. So we didn't have time to finish all of them. Didn't have time to do the topologize. So the method we used, after say, like, what if it still runs okay in Unreal Engine, why not just directly, cutting down the topology? That's what we did. So we still spend like 1 day, but it's better than topology to do a retopol for the entire character, because that could take, I felt, at least 2 to 3 days. So after you finish the UV layout, for sure there are a lot of important things. Always keep more UV space on the important portion, like the upper body for that guy. But the rest of part, just use less UV island. And after UV layout, ready to go to create some texture maps for it. Normal map actually took me a lot of time to pick up, and I painted those dirt-looking material and or sand or even create a mask. Actually, I used the 3D code. Have you guys ever used 3D code? The idea of doing a texture painting in 3D code, if we are now not talking about stylized texture painting, that kind of stuff. We are talking about realistic. The idea just like how you paint, you project the texture into your object, just like you use Zbrush. So they got the same idea. So create, so put your texture on top of your object, and it's gonna project everything into your object. But before you do that, clean up your texture a little bit in Photoshop. So today's talk, I'm not gonna talk about, those step by step, because I know that can kill too much time for us. So I'm gonna only talk about the big idea and share you what I did for this 3 months project. To me, it's 3 months. For the team, it's 5 months or something. And I mentioned about the mask layer. It's really important, super important for PPR engine, for the next-gen engine, they call that. And it's really important because later on, you're going to separate those material to different ID. So that means in Zbrush, when you put, that time, I didn't figure out how to keep all of those detail I didn't know how to create those detail at the same time create a mask. I got no idea at that time. I'm not sure if there are some more improvement, but that time I didn't. So what I painted on Zbrush, actually, I couldn't get a mask. So that part is kind of, it's really tough. So this, but I used 3D code for my texture painting. When I paint my texture, project my texture on top of it, at the same time to create an extra mask layer for you. So it's really useful for later on. This mask gonna keep using for the rest of the material. This part is really complicated actually for the when talking about prepared material for engine. And after painted detail and mask layer, I remember, this is pretty much those maps we prepare for the material. Maybe something more reflection or something. And after you backed those texture normal maps and painted those color maps, then we went to Unreal Engine and make sure everything works fine. And during that time, there's still a lot of process. You had to go back to normal map, fix your normal map, even texture map a lot of times. So that's why although only 3 lines or a couple lines here, but actually most of the time spent here. If you are a game character artist, most important thing, not how good it look like in Maya, and not how good it look like in Zbrush. It's how good it look like in your final engine. That's the most important thing. So most of the time we spend there and check out our character looks fine, looks awesome in a 3D viewport, 3D viewer. And I want to show you some screenshots. Like this, when this shot actually, this progress actually after a lot of fixing, I can say that when first time I sculpt those details on Zbrush, this is not everything from Zbrush. There are some other spatial trick I used and to create this much of, decent looking detail. I will talk about that a little bit. I'm the person who feel, most important thing is how the game, how the character look like in the end, but not spend a lot of time figure out which tool is the best ever in the world to create that character. I feel that the result is most important. And same idea for the texture works. So I kind of jump like back and forth from texture and Unreal Engine part, and even back to Zbrush to create a noise map. I temporarily call it noise map. And you pretty much create a plane and go to surface or something. Then there's a noise. Then you I created 3 different sizes of detail and render it out. Detail normal map, and you put them on top of your normal map from your Zbrush sculpt. You guys understand what I'm saying? This part is pretty deep, so that's why. Yeah, I won't mention about too much, but I just let you know there are some special tricks to do this much. I didn't create any extra geometry put on top of this, so it's all about normal map only. And test the lighting is really important, so keep testing. There was once the lighting was wrong. A lot of detail I sculpt actually didn't show up there until we changed the lighting direction. There are some examples, like some highlight we may really like from these scenes, but wasn't there. It's because of just wrong lighting. I did a test. I put some water on table, but there were certain angles you just couldn't see any reflection at all. So that's the same thing in 3D world. So that's a process, the work process I did for project Ironclad. And I think I'm pretty proud of this project because I was really sure. I thought I couldn't make it in this short amount of time because there are a lot of things from those screenshot images I show you. Actually, I work on, it's all done by myself. But of course, lighting we got help from other guy, and effect got help from other guy. But my responsibility was 3D modeling and texturing and partial of those shading. There was a guy who finished the master material. Then we just duplicate it, and we keep changing the parameter or something, tweak until the right shader, right feeling. Yeah, that's a part about Ironclad. Let me check out if there are some more files I can show. Yeah, that's Ironclad. We all good? Okay. Mm-hmm.
Oh, now I feel singled out. So you were saying to create that dirt detail that you made like a tileable noise normal map out of Zbrush, and then you just painted out a mask where it showed through, essentially.
Sorry, I didn't get it.
So that metal grill thingy, you said that to get some of those details, you created a noise in ZBrush?
Oh, it's ZBrush, in ZBrush.
So then, you use that to get that kind of dirt caked on, or is that sculpted? And that
you can generate kind of. Have you ever tried apply? I think I probably can show you a little bit from ZBrush here.
Oh,
just very quickly. Not gonna take long. So create a plane here. So make sure. Okay, I'm not gonna hold the edge border here, but I just try to subdivide it several times. So after this, I don't care about how many times subdivide it, but make sure you have enough density on the poly count. Then go to, I believe, surface and noise. Then this is what I'm talking about. So this is just one of them. So create 3 or as many as possible, or even more, because this kind of randomly generated from ZBrush. You may like it. You may, just feel, this is just too much is the similar looking of detail. But anyway, just try one size like this, 2 like this, and even smaller one. Then put it on.
So then you just assemble it in Photoshop, like in your PSD?
You don't combine all of those normal maps together in Photoshop. I know there's a method to combine them all together, tweak the channel, RGB channel or something. It's too complicated for me. So I use the crazy bump to combine them all together. So use it the right way. If you use it wrong, it's not going to look good. Yeah, so that's one of the treats I used. I want to show you the image one more time. So you are talking about this, right?
Yeah,
this all done by the method I just created. This here, and for those parts, it look like some water into it. Yeah, that's about gloss map or some other maps to control that part. So that's why I mentioned those materials you can play around forever and ever.
Cool.
Yeah, and also this part here. And make sure the angle you're lighting is correct, it is right, then you can catch a lot of decent looking shadow like this. Yeah, and some tiny detail like this, I believe, as I remember, I all use this method. So you don't really have to finish all of those details in ZBrush. That's how I feel, because you still have a lot of chance to tweak it. But I'm not saying that's a bad idea to finish all of your detail in ZBrush. I'm saying if for next generation type of game, realistic type of game, only if your hand-painted skill, your hand-painting skill is good enough, you can achieve any style you like, then you can, do that. But if you are doing some realistic, I would say try the best as much as detail in your highest model. But it's dependent on project. Yeah, but for this case, because of time and because I prefer to test my model in Unreal Engine first and jump back and forth in between Maya or even ZBrush, then keep polishing it until the end. That's my preferred. Yeah. Did I answer your question? Thank you. No more question? All right. Then I'm gonna talk about orc study. So, how many of you guys have a orc or creature-like character in your portfolio? Wow, you guys so good. I didn't. Yeah, I know a lot of you guys did, but I didn't have one. I didn't even have one. My focus was tall young character. I know, because been working with those companies, and I knew it's not a secret. Everybody knows. Every artist knows. If you have a good foundation, actually, it's not that hard to create any type of character. And I kind of agree with that. So I spend most of my time on making, real human or something. Spend my time on anatomy. You can see those things on my portfolio. A lot of them, they are actually it's just real human or some anatomy based on some real human's anatomy. Right, so I want to talk about my work process. If you guys don't, or how about any of you guys are thinking to create one? All right, so this is for you. I'm not going to teach you how to concept because it's too hard, but this piece actually is not a finished model. Actually, it's more, I was thinking of, okay, I want to create a concept first for my creature, but it was so hard. So that's why I tried something. Then I'm going to show you what I tried and what I started. I still remember that time I still worked for the workshop. It's just early this year. And we was working on Evil Within, the project shipped already, so I can talk about that. And there were a lot of, zombies and creatures, that kind of thing, some bloody looking skins. You cannot even tell anatomy. So I got some practice for that one, but at the same time I think about I want to create a creature, create an orc, like it's something. So you know what I mean? At the same time I got some practice for the project, at the same time I got some practice for myself, for my orc study. I spent only one day on high-res sculpt, another day on composite everything in Photoshop. And this one here was nothing. It's just for my personal practice because I didn't get a feeling of how to sculpt a creature, how to sculpt a orc. So I got some practice. This is where I start and try some different. There's some material really cool. When you apply it, it just come out this much of detail in Zbrush. Okay, let me show you the file, how it looks like, and why I feel that's kind of important. Here I'm just provide one of the method I used, but I'm not saying good for everyone, so you have to figure out if this work for you. Wrong file. Okay. So this is it. Not really. Okay, this is the right one. Okay. This is pretty much 20, 30, I would say maybe 30 minutes of practice. I mainly focus on how that feel. This pen maybe not working. I just want to feel I'm sculpting something. My mood is ready for sculpting something. So that's how I start this one, and I play around a little bit. I want to show you another file compared with this one. Then you will see the different. Let me back to the very original. So I said this one about 30 minutes sculpt or something. So this is just a case for myself, because I didn't know what I'm gonna do, how I started this project. So I practiced. I started from this, doodling, and then I work on some more detail for this. Let me jump back and forth. Then you see the difference, right? So after that, and I got a sense of feeling of what I'm gonna do for my character. But at the same time, I use Pinterest. References are always important. So at the same time, check out a lot of other artists' work at the same time. When I'm doing this. So you can see the font is much tighter compared with the previous one. And I spent some time on this and to think about, okay, how I'm gonna do this kind of disgusting thing. So this much of detail here is kind of okay. The only part I really like is only here. The rest of the part is kind of, even, I don't want to use the G word, but yeah, this is the only part I like. But at least I got a feeling, how my creature, how my orc look like. After that, I work on this. So just like I mentioned, this is not perfect, not a solid model, but it's a concept. It's actually a concept, org concept study. So backside, actually, I didn't spend much of time. At this stage, I figure out, okay, what the form look like. So based on a Z-sphere, then Dynamesh, then at the same time keep thinking, what your org look like. I think I did it. I did some screenshot. So here's here. So this is my first step, and start from this sphere and Dynamesh it, and keep trying different shapes. Not just only one, but I got lucky. So I got what I want. I felt this is the kind of right feeling I like. And I think that's in the same day. And until I feel it's about right feeling, then I start thinking about, okay, I care about the concept more than modeling. So I started pen on some basic texture because I feel that part can help me out to figure out some more forms or something. And after that, I started doing some wrinkles. And that thing is posing and composting. But I want to show you some real file from that. So more detail from the first one. You can easily tell. Yeah, don't pay attention on the backside because it's not ready. Remember, it's just a concept. And I'll let you know what I'm going to do for next for this guy. It is just concept. So from here to there, of course, I like this one more. I'm not sure you guys, but I like this one. Then keep doing until, we see the texture. Yeah, it's just powder painting, very simple and easy. Powder painting. So think about, keep running in and out to check out your model and check out how it looks like. This is kind of flat now, so what I usually do is higher the specular a little bit, and you'll be able to see some more detail. I lost my hotkey. I used to put a light or something, and I can rotate around the light very easily. I think on L or something hotkey can change the light. No, but anyway, here just show you idea what I did. Maybe I can turn off the shadow. Sorry, I use hotkey all the time, so now I'm kind of totally no idea where are those hotkeys. But turn off shadow. Turn off the shadow. Anyone say anything? When you turn off the shadow, then you will see those color you painted on easily. Yeah, this process, I talk about this, just want you not only focus on your model, but think about your final, the concept look like in the final. Because if you're talking about only single color or creature, then that's totally fine. But I'm thinking of some others, and also think about the silhouette. That's very important. No hotkey. Let me turn off the texture a little bit. Where's the bright color? I think there wasn't texture for this one, but I just tried to apply a single color. Any guys help? Help. What's that? I couldn't hear well. So there's an echo actually, so.
You want to just turn off the poly painting?
Yeah, but my.
You go to subtool and what the and just click on the little paintbrushes, that turns off the poly painting.
This one? Alright. Maybe not what I want, but anyway, I can turn over this. Yeah, so the zero is kind of important here. And later on, actually, I tweak a little bit more on the ear here, and some more, but this one is not that interesting. Let's check out another file. And this is the latest file. So sometimes I get some inspired from life. So put around the speculate a little bit more. So it was like that, of course, with teeth. Was like that, and I changed it to this. And I want to let you guys know where my idea from. It's actually from my dog. Seriously. Yeah, I'm telling you the true story. I used Facebook, and there was one day, the same day, I check out some photo, and there's something I really like here. So that thing inspired me, then I created this. Yeah, I actually even like this shot, this angle better than the final. But the lighting and the final combusting is not that good. But yeah, that's the thing inspired me on the pose. PowerPoint. And here are some whip images to show you guys. Not firework again. All right, see the difference. I'll just keep playing. What? Not allowed. Try one more time. Okay. That's pretty much the latest I have. That's the thing I'm talking about. So don't just focus on the forms, but also think about if your final there were some texture painted on your mesh, then you better just focus on overall at the same time. Just pretend you're a concept artist. And some saliva. I did that part separately, actually. Use another. I spent some time to find that material, maybe from Zbrush Central or something. But it wasn't look that good. There are a lot of pen over work on top of it, on the saliva, actually. This black and white, I actually like this one even better than the color version, because I painted very roughly. Because this project was, meant for give myself a idea how my org concept look like. So I'm thinking for the later on. So after I got this, I did some concept drawing. So this is pretty much the first day I got. Then I try to paint the body and to think about maybe later on I can keep going on this project and to create a beautiful renders, image or something. But that's still part of my plan. I'm not promising something here. I'm just saying this is one of my work in progress project. So that's about my org study. So yeah, I mentioned about a trick. I'm not sure if that works for you, but it's really works for me. And now I'm playing. I even think about I should create more, org study because I had a lot of fun from this one. And in a short time, I feel 1 day or two. Sometimes if your company got some, in between project or something, you definitely can create a lot of those. All right, that's about my org study. Any question? It's very simple, actually. I see Alessandro. Any question, guys?
Let me bring you the microphone.
Hello. Could you talk a little bit more about your post-production, after making the model and then bringing it to a illustration?
Can you say it again?
Could you talk a bit more about your post-production after you modeled it?
Post-production for this guy?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I have those files, but I'll try my best to show you the process because that thing probably can take longer to talk, but I will show you the final PS file and explain how. So there you go. Mask important. You guys all know how to generate those from Zbrush, right? So pretty much like that. If you Google, BPR, render or something, we're gonna pop out a lot of detail. But today here, I'm gonna show you some big idea. So same thing, glow map. I'm gonna turn on and off to show you what's going on here. And saliva, that's a separate thing. The different material I did, I just talk about. So let me show you this probably first try. And I think there are already some pen over on top of it. Oh yeah, you see that? So this is probably the first render out. I cannot tell actually. I feel this is pen over. But anyway, that's pen over. I couldn't find any good shader, come up with a great result. So I feel I need some pen over. Then I keep rendering, keep trying some other shaders. Maybe this one's good. And you can try put them all together and sometimes, switch to different filter like this situation. I try hard line. And I think this one is the final. And the layer here, there are a lot, even AO. And there's some part painted. And I don't know what it's for. Sorry, this almost like 1 year ago of my work process. And some more. And even, yeah, so you got an idea how I create those saliva and glow map for the background and how dry that is. I think this is pen over. So I didn't finish all of them in Zbrush, but include some part of post process and even some highlights for the eyeball. Yeah, remember this is concept. This is not game use mesh. Game use mesh, then we're gonna back to Ironclad, that kind of work process. Yeah, so a lot of layers and lighting. Turn it on and off. Yeah, and some of those you actually can keep using. Like if you feel your gloss map is not strong enough, then create another one. Even just duplicate and try opacity or something. Combine them together, but lower the opacity. Sometimes can give you a different kind of give you a different feeling you may really like. So ring line, try create some ring line, not only one side but both sides. Usually one side of the ring line is stronger than another side. And this one actually different than the previous one. Let me show you what's the difference. And some more tweak in Photoshop. Because I feel was too boring on it. You can tell from the nose, and of course some other filter applied. So you can see a difference and change it, tweak a little bit to the right form, and until you feel really like it. Like here, ear here, it's all actually tweaked by purpose. I mean, designed by purpose. Maybe some part of the tweak you didn't totally finish in Zbrush or something, but for time saving or for just concept purpose, then I think it's kind of okay to use liquify or something. Liquify, is it called liquify? Yeah, liquify. Here. Is that cool? Yeah, so, yeah, sorry, I'm not gonna let you know the step by step. It's just because, yeah, the time can take a long. And also, my tutorial is just from Google, from YouTube, so you can just check out those files. But if you have any question, then you can feel free to contact me. Yeah, that's what I learned from myself from this project. So I like this project a lot. So I hope I have some extra time to keep doing this. But in fully render or something, I may try VUA or try something else, even just marmoset. Yeah, marmoset to go back. So that's about my project. Work study, some work process. Yeah, that's the work process looks like. Any question? No? Okay, I'm gonna move on to next. So, Replica Boy. It was a project I did for a studio in Seattle called Black Powder in the early this year. So, as I remember, it was only 8,000 something poly count. You can tell from here. Let me show you how it looked like in marmoset. What am I doing? All right. Here we go. If you want to know how I set up the lighting, I can let you know too. But it's very basic. So now you saw there are two lights and include a skylight. Maybe I should turn off the light first. Oh, 3 lights. I lied, sorry. All right, so here's only skylight. So let me play around. I didn't get a chance to check out a specular light, but it's maybe because my light is too strong or something. So it looks much brighter than I thought. Yeah, they use this character for some virtual reality, but I didn't keep asking question, more story detail or something, that kind of thing. And I use Substance Painter for this project. And the entire total hour I spent on this guy was 90 to pretty much 2 weeks, 2 weeks and something. And I used Substance Painter. That part helped me a lot. Not for every detail. I still use 3D codes a little bit. It's just because I felt more familiar with 3D code, and Substance Painter helped me a lot to create those kind of, greeny thing, and also those dirt for sure. It's those randomly generated detail is sometimes stupid, and I don't feel like it most of the time, but I feel it's so cool to provide you a source file. Then you can edit later, just use more Photoshop, have more brush strokes or something and keep fixing it. At least it's give you a basic source map or something. So just use it as one of your source map, then combine them all together. So this is how it looks like in a real time. And backside from what they told me, actually not gonna have a lot of chance to see that. So there's no photo reference at all. It's all texture painted, hand painted. I shouldn't show you from this code actually, because there wasn't a chance to see that from that code. Yep, that's about how it looks like in real time. Now I'm just gonna show you. Yeah, the concept is to look like this. Compare with real time. I thought it's very close, right? Yeah, so that's how they like it. From what I remember, they told me they really like this, even pay me more. That's true. I told them, if I spend only this much of time, I won't charge you more. But they say they don't care about that, because from my first estimate or something, I was thinking, okay, probably more than what I thought. But in the end, they pay me more. Yeah, that's about this guy. It's about 2 weeks and something spent on this guy. And of course, I got some direction from the studio. Told me how many material we're gonna use. And the basic material used on this one, yeah, pretty much this 4. And some others probably hiding under Photoshop layers. I guess 5 maps or something. But pretty much albedo, no map, gloss map, and specular maps, that kind of thing. Yeah, I don't like the highlight here, it's too bright. And yeah, this one I'm not gonna talk about how I create this, because it can take really long. But this is for virtual reality. Maybe I should show you how it look like with the wireframe on. So it's like this. So this guy not gonna talk, so you don't really need to worry about the topology over here. But I still try to keep it clean as possible and make sure the polygon is enough. So if I turn the shader off to black, then you can still see a lot, some like a zigzag or something, but that's not gonna be a problem, because think about that, the only distance you see this character probably just this far, and this guy may move a lot, so yeah, 8,000 for that case is enough. If you feel this too high, it's always easy to just take off some of them, but not a lot of those. I'm saying sometimes we still need to fix it, although this model is totally finished or something. Talk to the engineer side or something. If they feel this is kind of heavy load for your game, then think about take off some geometry. Then that's okay. But you have to take it smartly. Like don't take off some geometry nearby the UV border or something, because it's gonna damage your normal your maps, your textures. So that's a part about Replica Boy. If saying something, I will just keep moving. But so I think I finished my third part or fourth part already, right? So next part, I'm kind of okay to talk about some other pieces from my personal portfolio, or I can show you some more personal works, but maybe not that much of work process. Try to make it full screen, but I have to run it over. Okay, this is something I was working on in early this year. So in the same time, pretty much same time when I work on the org study during that time period, because we was waiting for another project. So I got a lot of time to practice ZBrush, ZModel, that kind of tools. And the post-effect thing pretty much uses the same method like org study. And later on, my plan is think about, maybe finish the entire concept for the entire body or something and include modeling and shading and something else. But so far, the reason I didn't show this, I haven't showed this on my portfolio just because I still feel early. Like a beer here, actually, I brushed it a little bit, but I didn't Control Z back, so the progress just kept there. But I didn't really like it, and early this year, I was thinking, okay, I should have some more time to tweak it, but until now, I didn't get much of time, so that's why I keep it later. But I did some post effect, on top of it, and to see how this guy looks like. Yeah, you can see the background, the orc still there. So probably I should do some Kickstarter to start, new project. And here I can show you some. This is not gonna take long because I didn't have much to share. So when the time I worked for Sony, I started to practice my concepting, but not digital painting. I am not ready for that part. That's part of my plan since last year, or since I should say since 2013. I worked for my previous company. But that's the thing I did in 2011 or something. I was concepting, I was thinking, I got inspired from, what that project called? Studio in Canada. There's a sci-fi project. Anyway, it's a sci-fi project. So I kind of get inspired from that one. So I was thinking, okay, I should create some concept like that. So I started sculpt that thing and concept that thing in Zbrush. So this is where my concept from for that guy. And this is the first one I did in 2D, but didn't work, and I didn't really like it. So I moved on to 3D, try something from 3D side. So this is my concept. And after I get one, I kept developing to this one. And that mesh, the human head, I just that time temporarily used just borrow from Zbrush. So you can tell from the armor here and there, still got the same idea. Yeah, but this one, I can only show you this much and some more pen over. I am an artist who used to do 3D and 2D at the same time. So when I got something, I think this one was this one, but different angle for sure. Oh no, different detail. But I'm saying for the armor design, I'm kind of back and forth to the ZBrush and Photoshop. And to get this same thing, where my idea from, just check out. Artists usually have a library for every different kind of different type of references, and I have a sci-fi one. What I usually do, I feel is really useful. So just if I got no idea or something, then I always go to check out those folders I have. Then maybe spend your 10 minutes or 20 minutes or 30 minutes, then you may come out some good idea. Then back to your ZBrush or back to your Photoshop. That method worked for me. Some work progress I want to show you. And also, so you guys, any question for any others? But I have to say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These 3 I cannot talk about it. Yeah. Is that all? Then others, I'm totally okay to talk about.
We definitely have some questions already coming in through live stream as well, through Twitter. So I want to remind people watching on live stream to ask any questions on Twitter with the hashtag Gnomon. We can also absolutely start taking questions on stage. I have more general questions if it's okay with you to start answering those. From live stream, from Twitter, one question is, how much did traditional sculpture help with Zbrush?
Echo. Sorry, my right side ear actually.
Okay.
Couldn't hear well.
How much did traditional sculpture help with Zbrush?
Okay, how much? I would say, I won't say 100%, but 90 something. I would say 95 or even more. It's because of the way you think of sculpting. Actually, 100% same. I feel 100% similar. When I'm doing live sculpt, I feel just, I should say, when I'm doing a Zbrush sculpt, it's always remind me that year I was doing those piece by piece, putting those echo-shade stuffs, start from, each single bone, put them all together. I think that's pretty much the same idea. And yeah, so I learned a lot of anatomy from that part. But until today, although I'm doing digitally, but I still feel, I still can imagine, still can think about that year I doing in live sculpt. So I would say 90% something. Yeah.
Great. So you'd recommend people to maybe pick up some clay and try sculpting traditionally?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
But I'm not saying like you have to start from
Sure.
that way.
Sure.
It's all depend on what best media good for you. Because I noticed some other artists they may be good at traditional sculptures, that kind of thing. Some they are good at digital, but only few people they are really good at different media. That's based from what I know.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anyone here on stage want to ask one?
I don't believe you have a question for me. I should ask
Hi,
you a
Gary.
question. Hello.
I was wondering, the Replica Boy is great. There is a great fidelity with the concept. So I was wondering, what's your approach like on a given concept? How do you translate that into 3D, just to be sure that your 3D version actually matches as much as possible the concept? I was wondering if you put like the concept like in the background in the viewport, or if you go freestyle, then you do some renders and then you compare like your renders with the concept, or what's your approach with that?
You mean to be a concept artist or something?
No, when you have to realize when you have to basically make a 3D model based on a given concept that you do or somebody else gives you. I was wondering what's your best like approach to be sure that your 3D model actually matches the concept as much as possible.
You are saying, am I thinking of my 2D concept match a 3D?
Yeah, like if you have to do a production model and you have a concept, right? So you want basically to match the concept as much as possible. So I was wondering if you start from the beginning trying to trace the concept, having it in the viewport in Zebra.
From my personal experience, actually, I think I kind of lucky enough because I did several game prototype, and those art director, they kind of like the idea of developing 2D and 3D at the same time. So even from my previous company, there was several situations actually we feel, because 2D, when you turn to 3D, sometimes look differently. I mean,
absolutely.
Maybe it's over 70% of time or something. So we always think about, lot of chance you still need to tweak it. But what I mean to say is I got a chance to show what the idea of that concept should look like. So that's why I got a chance to start from 3D. And also, I talk to the art director pretty much all the time. But are you talking about my personal work or
in general, I was just wondering.
Okay, so that makes me feel much clearer how to answer you. So for my personal work, I don't feel any of them are totally finished or perfect. Because I feel as an artist, you always feel there's something missing over there. Yeah, so that's for my personal work. But for professional work, there's a time frame. There's always time frame there. But I was saying, from my previous project, I got a chance to contribute my concept design from 3D, and I talked to the 2D artists. So in my previous experience, I didn't get much of trouble. Even I got a chance to let art director know what my thinking was. Then we fixed that. Because the result, they feel the result or my recommend was kind of useful, so they took it. So I didn't get much of trouble on it.
Okay, got it.
Is that the question? It's echo layer, and also, yeah, I have ear ringing on this side.
We have another question from Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
How did you create that pattern for the star on the shirt of Replica Boy?
Start the pattern and...
Yes, they were wondering for Replica Boy,
Oh, yeah.
how you created the pattern for the star on his shirt.
On the shirt, okay. Wow, that's a long step by step. But in ZBrush. But let me try find out the file, ZBrush file. Do we have enough time?
We have about 25 minutes.
If we don't have enough time, I'll already answer ZBrush. All right, Replica Boy. Let's try one more time. Okay, ZBrush. That one generated in ZBrush actually. Wow. Not this one. Great, I think I don't have it. But it's in ZBrush, just... really? I lay out a UV first, and ZBrush, I go to ZBrush Central or something, and you will find... So I don't have a file here with me, but let me explain how. So I lay out a UV first, then use the surface and noise, and you can upload your alpha here, then apply. So the most important thing is how you lay out your UV. And after you apply that, of course, you have to tweak the size to the right number you want. Okay, this one. Okay. Then you can come out something like this. And that alpha, you can very easily to find that alpha map, alpha brush in, I think it's ZBrush Central or something. Yeah, there are a lot of free alphas. I never pay any cent for any alpha yet. Because there are too many free stuffs over there, so why don't you, yeah. But maybe if someday I feel one of them I really like or something. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any questions here on stage?
Hi, Gary. Earlier you mentioned that you still feel more comfortable with 3D Coat instead of some other texture painting software like Substance. And as far as I know, I only know artists who use 3D Coat to paint more stylized hand-painted textures. Mm-hmm. So would you explain a little bit more about what you think 3D Coat does better than other painting software?
When doing texture-painted style of maps, I prefer 3D Coat because I tried. I feel the sensitivity. 3D Coat may be better. I know Mari is pretty good at that part, mm-hmm. but I feel 3D Coat is much friendly to me because I'm not like those high-tech people, you know. I'm not high-tech artist, so I feel 3D Coat is pretty reasonable enough for using for if you're talking about hand-painted texture. And if talking about realistic, yeah, I will try Substance Painter. But now we are talking about for video game industry. Yeah, because I believe Substance Painter is mainly designed for video games, so it's very easily to generate a lot of material layers, separate those materials immediately. It's really useful. Yeah.
Right. In your experience, do you feel like studios are leaning towards one program than the other, like if they're all moving towards Substance, or do some of them still use Mari, or do you still use 3D Coat?
I missed the front part. Can you say it again?
Do studios prefer Substance now for games, or are they still using 3D Coat?
I'm still using both of them, be honestly. So it's all depend on project. And also, if you think about the budget, maybe you don't have to think about that. If your company totally fine to handle it, you can compare with the price. 3D codes are actually way much cheaper. And also, Control P and just send it over the new layer you created in Photoshop. I feel it's so friendly. But Mari, I haven't done much of Mari yet, so I couldn't really totally compare with that. But Substance Painter, I think is only I use it only for this kind of realistic style of project. I use Substance Painter. And the reason I didn't use Substance Painter for this one is just because that time wasn't released yet. Mm-hmm. So each single scratch I painted by hand.
Oh my god.
Yeah, take one day entirely. One day.
Have you ever used Quixel for any of your projects?
Any what?
Quixel?
Quixel? Not yet for these keys. Let me see. No, not yet. I only practice a little bit, but not yet. Because I used to use Crazy Bump, so that's why that time we didn't get a license for Quixel yet. I mean, some other artists use it, but I didn't have time to learn it. That's the point, because time is short. Time was really short.
Awesome, thank you very much.
Yep. But I like Quixel a lot. Yeah.
So when you showed us your project on Ironclad, you started with Maya, and then you did the detail on Zbrush, right? Mm-hmm. But when you showed... Hello? All right. So, but when you showed us your org, it showed like mostly you just work on Zbrush, right? So is there any reason do you feel more comfortable just working straight out on Zbrush now? Or why did you move away from Maya as your basis?
Wow, you say, do I prefer use ZBrush now?
Yes, do you just start your projects on ZBrush straight ahead instead of doing your basis on Maya and then moving it to ZBrush?
It's all depend on what project I'm working on, actually. So I don't really have a prefer. Because I feel a lot of experiences actually learn from project by project. So I'm not keep using the same technique or same skill I used in 6 or 7 or even 10 years ago. So I feel it's been changing. The Ironclad, I learned something new. Org Study, I learned something new. And even the Replica Boy, Substance Painter just came out, but I tried. I was lucky enough, before the project, I already tried it out because I was so into that amazing particle painting, style. But yeah, I was checking out that tool when I work on Ironclad, but only can following them. But I couldn't get a chance to use it until this one. So I don't have any preferred actually. It's all depend on what project. If come out idea quickly, maybe ZBrush and Photoshop. Yeah. If only. Okay, and also, I didn't have much of experience for doing a clean model for film. If that part you may need to ask some other friend like Alexandro. But I feel to create a game mesh is there are a lot of possibility because you always need to think about you may need a topology later. So to use ZBrush or to use Maya or 3D Max is actually not a matter. You just think about what's the best way to achieve your goal. I think that's probably the best software for you. That's my thinking.
Thanks.
Yep.
From Twitter, kind of piggybacking off the first question, how important is traditional drawing for someone who wants to become a 3D artist? How important is traditional drawing?
How much traditional drawing?
Pen to paper.
Before I become?
Yeah, for somebody who's looking to become a digital artist, a 3D artist, Is it important that they learn how to draw first or have an understanding of traditional drawing before becoming a 3D artist?
Most of case maybe yes, but some of those talent people, they are crazy. They can skip that part. But I would say 90% or something should follow that part. Because even until now, I still feel I need to look back and go to figure drawing workshop or something for more practice my observation or something, that kind of thing. I think that's really useful. But yeah, I think it's important. Yep.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone here?
Hi.
Hi.
I was wondering, what's your biggest challenge what do you think your biggest challenge is when working with concept artists?
I'm not a concept artist.
No, I'm saying when you're trying to translate someone's concept art into 3D, what do you think is your biggest challenge? What would you, I guess, want to see? What makes it easier to work with a concept artist? Like, what challenges do you usually have?
Idea.
Okay.
That's it. It's really hard because nobody can teach you how to create a masterpiece of concept art. I guess only can teach you, provide you method to come up with some concept. But I don't think anyone can teach you how to. So that's why that part I feel is a challenge.
Right.
Yeah.
I meant more like what makes. Sorry, I'm not articulating this well.
No Your English is better than me. No worry. So.
More like what makes it challenging? Like what would make a good 2D? Sorry, I'm not doing very well. Do you know what?
Just yeah.
What?
We have time.
Right. Yeah. Like what challenges do you face trying to translate a 2D concept into a 3D concept, and what makes someone an easier concept artist to work with? Like what advice would you give to a concept artist that makes them easier to work with for you?
I didn't get the main question.
Is there any part of creating a 3D piece from a 2D drawing? Is there anything about that is especially challenging for you? When you're taking someone else's concept art and you're building it in 3D, is that difficult and why?
I don't think it's hard. I feel most difficult is to get the feeling right on your final mesh, your final model, final product. I think that's the most challenging thing. Because I feel skill is it's very easy to learn. You can learn in a month of time. It's only spend a month of time. But to get the feeling right, that can take you a lot of time. I can show you some, because I mentioned about graphic design, so I spend some time on that part. But I'm not saying I'm a good case or something, but just from my limited experiences, I feel this part when I was younger, I feel it was so important to me nowadays. And also graphic design, media design, that kind of thing. When I sculpting my org or sculpting my detail, I always remember what the layout should look like, even just on a single skin or something. If you're learning, talk about Ironclad or something, it's all the same idea. I keep reusing, over and over. So my answer was, that's it.
Okay, thank you. I was just curious, as someone who's interested in concept art, what would make me easier to work with for a 3D artist. But thank you. I think that answered my question.
All right, thank you. I can show you guys some more from my private portfolio. So some other piece I didn't put it on ArtStation or some other website. It's just because those are all for production stuff. I didn't really spend a lot of crazy time on it. It's just production. So when the milestone is there, then I have to kick out that thing. So even like some shader I tweaked, I created for Evil Within. Okay, not allow me to show you guys maybe. But anyway, so thought of those things before and after, then you will see what it look like, where my effort put down. Some disgusting thing. I'm gonna just give you a quick review. And this one is a good sample to show. It was me to make her look sexy, actually. Yeah, but this is all about production, so that's why I didn't put it down. And some other piece for Halo. Yep. But any questions?
We have one here on stage.
Hey, Gary, great work, by the way.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for coming out. I do have a quick question. I know that you work out of ZBrush quite a bit when you're doing your texturing in 3D Coat, and you use Substance as well, or is 3D Coat your main go-to when texturing?
Sorry, I missed the last part.
Do you go, when you go out of ZBrush to texture, you use 3D Coat, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm really curious, because ZBrush, it's kind of, an all-inclusive kind of package. How do you, what makes you use that for your workflow in
3D
production?
Coat?
Yes.
It's just because of just like I mentioned, I didn't figure out how to create a mask at the same time I pen down those details. That's one of the reasons I tried 3D Coat.
Okay, so you feel it's a little more production friendly?
It is.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and also there's no hotkey I can Control P then send every new layers to Photoshop for me.
Sure, nice,
So-
yeah, beautiful. Now, I have one more question, and thanks so much for answering that.
No problem.
I do have one more question. In regards to, I see you're working in and out of ZBrush. Whenever you're bringing in hard surface combined with organic, do you find that you're blocking out in Maya or Max or some 3D package and then bringing it in to ZBrush, or do you find you're bringing in, you're creating your base organic and your base hard surface exclusively in ZBrush? What's your method? Thank you.
What's my what?
What is your method in combining hard surface elements with organic? Do you create your base model in Maya first, then bring it into ZBrush, or do you create both organic and
there's
hard
no
surface
rule.
in ZBrush?
There's no rule. It's all depends
It's
on
just
what
whatever you're in the mood for, whatever production calls for.
Yeah, I think just like I mentioned, it's
Okay.
depend on the project, and even the org study, I never use Maya at all.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I know ZBrush has come a long way in regards to hard surface.
Okay.
So I mean, really, that's the question I want to kind of drill down on. I see you've got a lot of great examples, both organic and hard surface, and I just want to kind of find out your production method when combining both of those elements. And I'll just wrap that up and listen for your answer. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right. So from Twitter, we have a question. For someone trying to get a start in the games industry, how do you recommend they show their work to catch the eye of studios?
If you can, I would recommend concept yourself. Are we now talking for a character artist for video games?
Yeah, it looks like they're talking about specifically for video games.
If you can, try concept yourself. If not, grab some good concept or act some good concept from friend or something. You can try fan art too, but sometimes maybe just fan art. Then good thing is if you create some concept yourself, that means you can do something outside of modeling, and you may have more possibility to go to different size of studios, companies, because smaller size of studio, like the team I just mentioned, maybe just 10 people or something. Yeah, maybe it's a lot of work outsourced or something, but I would say nowadays is totally different need as 10 years ago. So that's why I kind of force myself to keep trying different style of art. That's part of my goal. So I will, just recommend the same thing, to that.
Great. Great answer. Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
My question is, what would you recommend a beginner do in order to get better at 3D modeling?
What?
What would you recommend a beginner do in order to get better at 3D modeling?
Sorry, I didn't get it. Sorry, there was a word I couldn't understand.
I think the question is, what would you recommend for a beginner to do in order to get better at 3D modeling?
How to get self better with 3D
Yes.
modeling. Okay, I feel let me think about how get yourself better 3D modeler. Do you used to draw a lot? Yeah. And how about sculpture or sculpting?
No sculpture, but drawing.
Draw, and don't spend too much time on rendering, because when you're doing 3D modeling, it's all about forms. Because I used to spend a lot of time spending my time doing the rendering on 2D, but later on I realized actually that part didn't help much, because we are making 3D, and now lighting thing, when you have a light, it's rendering everything for you. So I would say focus on anatomy first, and try to make some realistic characters for your beginning. It's good for your self-practice, catch all those forms correctly. Then after that, I feel once you can mimic something, even 100% close or something, then you are ready to try out all of the style you like. But there's still some key element, I feel, which maybe just code sculpting or something, like 10 different people, you give same assignment to those 10 people. Maybe they are all really good, but it's always come out maybe one piece or two you feel is kind of get a sense of feeling you really like. So I think there's something like beyond that process. But back to your question, modeling, I think just keep practicing. And how about anatomy thing? Do you learn a lot already?
I haven't started anatomy yet.
Then I would say just start from that one, because try to make sure you are okay to just copy some masterpiece. What I used to do was find some masterpiece, and even try when you got a chance to learn anatomy that thing, then even just put a piece of paper on top of that drawing, then try to use that as a tracking. And you can just try to draw out those bones structure underneath that master anatomy piece,
Yeah, I've done anatomy and drawing, but I haven't translated it to 3D modeling.
So how many, can I know how many modeling piece you ever done?
I'd say 10. I went through a class on it. And during that class is when I made all the pieces.
Because now I haven't got a chance to check out your portfolio, so I don't have a right correction. But I would say the basic idea just keep doing some realistic stuff first. Because I feel you'll be able to control more forms and shapes, that kind of thing. Yeah, when you got that part ready, it's okay to start from cartoonic style of character, but I feel it's much harder to go back to realistic. But if you start from realistic, maybe a good idea. I'm not saying you totally can't or something, but I'm just saying, because most of artists agree with foundation, but I feel foundation is all about anatomy. So that's why I mentioned about anatomy. From my personal limited experience, I feel anatomy is really play a very important role. So just go back to that part, or because you mentioned not yet started. Yeah, so I would recommend you spend more time, because I don't even feel I spend enough time on it.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right, is there one more question here on stage? Yep.
Hello. So most of your, I can see that most of your hard surface work has a lot of mechanical parts in it. So how is your development process for building some mechanical parts on the hard surface? What do you use for the reference? I mean,
what I use for reference?
Yes.
Pinterest.
Oh, really?
And also, yeah, ArtStation for sure. I use that almost every day.
But
to be honest.
do you find that you need to use a lot of like for demo for showing like a lot of sorry, like to show a lot of realistic mechanicals? You use just reference, or you just like needs to build it like really realistic?
You talking about style?
Yeah.
Mechanical. I didn't get it.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to know if you like if you study a lot of mechanicals to do your pieces.
Uh-huh.
Do you study a lot of mechanical?
Oh, okay. You mean the hard surface?
Yes.
Practice? Oh, sure. When I first started 3D Max, yeah, there are a lot of stories about that. Even this piece is after 6 months I studied Maya, and they are all the same idea. If you ever use 3D Max and Maya, so it's just different, interface or something. So practice a lot. Yeah, I did practice a lot. I started from even cars, that kind of thing, from I think the one I just showed you. Yeah, environments and also cars. That's where I started my hard surface practice. So yeah, for sure, if you try to have some sci-fi characters, that kind of thing in your portfolio, you have to try. And there are a lot of fun on that, because when later on, if your goal is to become a character artist, you're gonna have a lot of chance to do some armors. Only if you doing something else, even fantasy style, there are some armors, there are some hard surface pieces too. So I did spend a lot of time practice that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. All right. Did anyone want to throw out one last one before we wrap up? All right. Let's get a big round of applause for Gary.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here tonight. Your
you.
work is amazing. The level of detail is just stunning. So we really appreciate it. Did you want to say any last few words before we wrap up?
Happy holiday, guys.
Yeah, happy holidays. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
All right, thank you everyone on live stream. Thanks for tuning in, and thank you everyone here for being here tonight. We really appreciate it. I'm Anna. I'm happy to answer any questions you have about Gnomon. You can come up and probably talk to Gary as well. He'll be sticking around for a little bit.
Thank you, guys.